In this presentation, I'm going to show you how assignment 3 should work if you code it correctly. So let's go through here and notice a few things. This looks very much like what we had for assignment 2. The only first obvious thing is I have a new link down here at the bottom called For Admin Use Only View Guestbook. We'll come back to that in a minute. The one chief difference here is that in the select list that we had developed for assignment 2, I had you hardwire or hard code the city names. This time around, I want you to read these city names from a file called cities.txt file. And you can just type that file up yourself in TextPad or Notepad or something like that, Text Wrangler, and just put one city per line in the file. So I have this file here, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles. But if we go to the file now for a second, here it is, cities.txt. I open it up, you can see I have these cities here without the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. I want to illustrate that what the user sees can be different than the value that I'm storing with the option. So you need to put that in code. Now clearly, this used to be an HTML form, and we can't get this to work. We can't get PHP to run in an HTML form. So, not if it's a .html file. But if you look up here, this is assignment3.php. So we now are going to kick off our application with a PHP file. Always remember that a PHP file is an HTML file that may have PHP code in it. Obviously this time it has to, or we won't get this little list generated from a file. Let me click on our View Guestbook form. I haven't entered any names yet. The file isn't even there yet. So I click on it, and you see View Guestbook, there are no names in the guestbook. So let's click that closed. Now, let's go ahead and add one. I'll put in my name, and I'll leave it as a phone number. Bogus phone number. I'll select the city. How about Chicago? And no comments. Now I'm going to click the Submit button. Now, you've seen this before, where you get this display of this form. That's just like what we had in Assignment 2. But behind the scenes, in this new program, Assignment 3, add to guestbook.php, you're going to put in stuff to write this to the guestbook.txt file. So we can store this, and we can use this later. So I've got one person in there. Let's go back. Now, I'm going to click on the View Guestbook link again, and now I see a nice table of all the information that I added here in the form. Notice that it opened it up in a new tab, and that's fine. So let's add a different name. Jane Jones. Change the phone number slightly. And Jane lives in Toronto. These people don't have comments. We get the display. Let's go back and look at the guestbook. View Guestbook. So we've got Jane Jones in there. Notice this is white in the first row and this kind of an off yellow color. I showed you this technique in an earlier lesson. So I want you to employ it here where we have an alternating background color on each row. So our eyes can kind of easily trace. If we're looking at Jane Jones, we can easily trace over and see that, the contact date was this, or Toronto, the city was Toronto. So this should happen. Each name I add, I should have another person to see. And I can always check it by doing the View Guestbook. I'm going to go over to where I've written out a little bit of text for this assignment. And this file will be copied to your Working Files folder. So obviously develop a web page that looks like what I just showed you in the video. Start with the files that you had in Assignment 2 and use them. We've got the Assignment 2 HTML now becomes the Assignment 3 PHP. It's important because we're going to have to add code to it. The one that was called Assignment 2 Thank You file, make that the Assignment 3 Add to Guestbook PHP. Now this new Assignment 3 PHP file that we just renamed is going to read the options directly into the select option list from the cities.txt file. And again, that file you can just make up and put in your data folder underneath the root. Add code to this Add to Guestbook file, the Assignment 3 Add to Guestbook PHP, to append, and that's important, append a single line of data to the guestbook text. You don't want to keep writing over it. So that new program, Assignment 3 View Guestbook, is going to take all the names in the guestbook.txt file and put them in an HTML table. Remember the delimited string technique that I taught you in an earlier lesson. You're going to do that same kind of thing to store this in the file. Then pull it out, pull that delimited string apart, and add each bit of information to a cell in the table. Make sure that the table rows alternate background colors. Add a link to the Assignment 3 file down at the bottom that opens up this View Guestbook file, and have it be in a new window or tab. In this assignment, we're not going to change the mortgage calculator at all. Okay, that's the assignment. Go ahead and give it a try, and when you're done and feel like you've got it down, you can look at the next lesson, which will be on the solution, well, at least the solution I came up with.